Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are in fact breaking down the top 20 prospects the NHL has to offer. I've been wanting to break down prospects more from a broader scale of things as to who exactly are not just the top 10 in the entire NHL, but let's go even further to top 20. This video hopefully shouldn't be too long, but I am going to do my best to try to give enough information out there and my reasoning for picks 20 all the way to 1. This was not an easy list to make by any means. There were a lot of great prospects in the NHL that just didn't make the cut, and that is because of the amount of amazing talent that is yet to hit the NHL level for at least more than 25 NHL games. So without further ado guys, I can't wait to get in this video. I hope you enjoy, so stay all the way until the end to find out all the deets and all my thoughts as to who exactly the top 20 prospects in the NHL are and where exactly they are ranked. At number 20, we have defenseman drafted by the Detroit Red Wings just a year ago in the first round, and that is, yes, MORITZ SEIDER. SEIDER, originally being from Germany, one of the multiple players that we are seeing in recent years being higher round draft picks coming from Germany, which is really awesome to see how much that country's development is growing regarding hockey and going into the NHL. But MORITZ SEIDER is a guy that was definitely deserving to be in this top 20, if not higher. He's one of the most mature defensemen currently the NHL prospect pool as a whole has to offer, and originally drafted 6th overall, the right-hand defenseman, playing in the AHL last year already right after being drafted, and 49 games played at 22 points, including 2 goals and 20 assists. And he currently has 6 points in 6 games thus far in the SHL that he's currently playing in, because there's no hockey going on as we know currently. So regardless, when it comes to MORITZ SEIDER, he's so mature, he's fantastic in his own end, he'll give up his body when needed, and he will contribute greatly offensively. He's such a well-balanced two-way defenseman and is surely going to be the next big thing on the blue line for the Detroit Red Wings. Next up at number 19, we have winger VITALI KRAVTSOVE. You guys know I've talked about KRAVTSOVE plenty in the past, and one could argue maybe not have him in the top 20, but I'm going to try to give my best argument as to why he's deserving here. KRAVTSOVE, unlike a lot of the other players that you'll see on this list, was drafted 2 years ago, which I know may not seem long, but it is kind of comparing to these other guys. Originally drafted 9th overall back in the 2018 NHL Draft, the right winger with the left-handed shot can do those bombs of the right-handed dot if needed on the right dot, I should say, not right-handed dot, in the right dot on the power play or 5-on-5, whatever it may be. KRAVTSOVE, however, has had a great progression in his development over this past year. He played in both the KHL, the VHL, and the AHL in the 2019-2020 season. In the AHL, in 39 games played with Wolfpack, he had 15 points, including 6 goals and 9 assists. And he also had 3 points in 11 games playing for Tractor and the KHL. This year, however, since the KHL season has started, he has been on absolute fire, racking up 11 points thus far in 17 games. KRAVTSOVE has had dramatic increases in his progression as really being a goal scorer in every which way in that offensive zone. He uses his body to his advantage and is really making huge strides as one of the Rangers' best up-and-coming prospects. So KRAVTSOVE was deserving to be in this top 20 in my opinion. I can understand the arguments to say have him out, but I have him here at 19 because I think he's going to be huge for the Rangers as they continue this rebuild/retool, and probably over this next year we're going to see KRAVTSOVE hit the Big Apple and be a key part to that team's success for the next 5-10 plus years. Next up, at number 18, we have Jake Sanderson, the defenseman that was the first defenseman to be selected in the 2020 NHL Draft. Selected, of course, in the first round by the Ottawa Senators. He went 5th overall. In the USHL, the left-handed defenseman, bigger body defenseman, but he will still put on some more pounds as he gets older. Had, in 19 games, had 14 points, including 2 goals and 12 assists. When it comes to Sanderson, he is probably one of the most reliable defensemen one could get in an NHL Draft, and is surely deserving of being in the top 20 here. He might not have, say, the offensive upside like you will see with a lot of other players on this list, but he has that sustain and reliability to be a future top pairing defenseman in the NHL one day. He is so smooth with his transition game. His two-way game is truly phenomenal. When you look at him going forward, he easily could be one of the better, if not best, two-way to shut down defensemen in the NHL. He has that much potential. We'll see if he can round out that game starting in college going into next season, but nonetheless, when it comes to Jake Sanderson, he was definitely deserving of being in the top 20 as one of the best up-and-coming prospects and an amazing prospect pool for, yes, the Ottawa Senators. Next up, we have at number 17, the only second round pick I have out of this entire top 20 list, and that is winger Arthur KALIYEV, arguably one of the best goal scoring prospects the NHL currently has to offer. I was baffled when he fell to the second round of the LA Kings just a year ago, back in 2019. And KALIYEV, the right winger, left-handed shot is amazing. Truly one of the most lethal goal scorers you will see as a prospect. Between his slapper, his wrister, his snapper, he is one of the quickest wrist shots I've ever seen out of all these prospects, and he has not skipped a beat since being drafted. In the OHL this past season, in 57 games played, he has 44 goals, 54 assists for 98 points. And the season prior, his draft season, he had over 50 goals. So yes, I know his defensive game isn't stellar by any means, but he has the potential to be one of the next big things when it comes to goal scoring in the NHL, and can do it as a reliable goal scorer for years and years on end with this LA Kings team that is going to be amazing over this next decade. And I fully expect Arthur KALIYEV to be a crucial part to it. Next up, at number 16, we have another defenseman, and that is BYRAM. BYRAM, as we all know, was drafted 4th overall back in 2019 by the Colorado Avalanche, and really was a guy that one could argue was going to hit the NHL right away. That wasn't the case, but nonetheless, he has the potential to be one of the next big things of all defensemen, with these great young defensemen coming into the NHL still. BYRAM displays an amazing ability between his offensive and defensive game, and if you look at his numbers in the WHL this past season, in 50 games played, he had 14 goals, 38 assists for 52 points. This guy truly has it all. He's so nimble. He's an amazing skater going into that offensive zone. He's defensively reliable. He has superb playmaking ability, can be that power play quarterback, and him alongside Cale Makar, what a pairing that would be. I'm not saying it's going to happen, because I understand that you don't necessarily want two offensive dynamos as a pairing, but nonetheless, the future is unbelievably bright for the Colorado Avalanche for this next decade, and BYRAM is going to make his case to compete for a spot in the lineup for the Avs next season, and also a chance to win the Calder with all these other amazing rookies coming in next season. At number 15, we have another defenseman again, and that is another guy that truly looks like a forward out there, and right-hand defenseman Jamie Drysdale. Drysdale was the second defenseman picked in the 2020 NHL Draft, owing to Jake Sanderson, obviously, and he went 6th overall to the Anaheim Ducks, and Drysdale has the potential to be truly something amazing at the NHL level, and really could have an impact in the NHL sooner rather than later. We're talking upwards of even next season. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But regardless, when you look at Drysdale's numbers in the OHL, in 49 games played, he had 9 goals, 38 assists for 47 points. This guy is a power play quarterback as well. So smooth into the offensive zone, has a perfectly sound, above average defensive game, and he can do it all for you when it comes to playmaking ability and shooting that puck. Drysdale is going to be a huge factor into this Anaheim Ducks team that has multiple grade A prospects that, who knows, maybe you'll see on this list here today outside of Drysdale. Next up, at number 14, we have one of my favorite prospects out of this entire list, and that is centerman Antoine Lindell. Lindell fell to the Florida Panthers in the 2020 NHL Draft, 12th overall, and currently playing in Liga this past season. Lindell was truly phenomenal playing against men as a teenager. In 44 games played, he had 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points. And this season thus far, playing in Liga again, while there's no current NHL hockey going on, he has 11 points in 11 games. Point per game, I believe he has 8 goals too. He has been on fire thus far in his young hockey career. He has an amazing 200-foot game. This is a guy that can surely be a multiple Selke nominee, if not multiple Selke winner in his NHL career, because of how balanced of a centerman he is. He can do it all for you in the defensive end of things as a centerman. His forechecking and back-checking is truly chef's kiss. I love Antoine Lindell, and the future is going to look unbelievably bright behind Sasha Barkov, and also centerman from Finland. That is going to be a great story, and I can't wait to see what Lindell does in the NHL as soon as next season. Next up, at number 13, we have another centerman, and you're going to see plenty of them on this list, but this time it is Alex Turcotte. Turcotte, who was drafted back in 2019 by the LA Kings in 5th overall, and playing with the Wisconsin Badgers, a team that really didn't live up to expectations, even with having Cole Caufield, Keandre Miller, Dylan Holloway, etc., still put up remarkable numbers. In 29 games played, he had 9 goals, 17 assists for 26 points. Even with how deep of the prospect pool the LA Kings have, Turcotte is going to do everything he possibly can to not just, he's going to crack that roster going into next season, but have a crucial impact in that top 6 and compete for that Calder, even with other guys like Quinn and Byfield, for instance. This is a guy, and even Gabriel Velarde to an extent. So be on the lookout for Alex Turcotte. He has an amazing hands, amazing set of skills, amazing playmaking ability, and is one that is going to be such a well-balanced centerman, either as a top-line center or as that second-line center for the LA Kings. And with any other team, for the most part, he has that potential to be the number one. It really is just because of how deep that LA Kings prospect pool is. Next up, at number 12, we have probably one of the most underappreciated prospects in the NHL, in my mind at least, and that is Alex Newhook. Newhook has a great story. Make sure you've learned more about him if you don't already. I'm not going to break it down in this video because it's just going to take too long, but he really has a great story leading into the NHL draft and being selected in the first round, 16th overall by the Colorado Avalanche just a year ago, along with Turcotte in 2019. When you look at Newhook, however, playing for Boston College, he was dynamic. He was truly the real deal for Boston College and in college overall. In 34 games played in his freshman year, he had 19 goals, 23 assists for 42 points. Newhook has this explosiveness into the offensive zone. He's defensively sound with his 200-foot game. He will crash the net, really get a goal any which way that he needs to make happen. He has superb playmaking ability, and I cannot say enough good things about Alex Newhook. Don't let his size phase you. There has been some worries about his weight in previous years, and really, can he transition to being an impactful NHL player? I think he has all the potential to be just that and more with this Colorado Avalanche team that is oozing with talent, as we know. Imagine Newhook in that top 6 for the Avs just over this next couple years. I can truly only imagine what the future holds for him with the Colorado Avalanche. Next up, we have at number 11, we have a centerman who can also play the wing, and that is Cole Perfetti. Perfetti is a guy that many people had as a possible top 3 pick, or top 4 pick, I should say, and others really had him out of their top 10. Wasn't too much in between, but Perfetti did land with the Winnipeg Jets and surely can be their second line center possibly as soon as next season. We'll maybe start in that third line with guys like Paul Stastny, but regardless, Cole Perfetti is the real deal as well. He went 10th overall, and I have him here 11 on this list, so not far off at all when it comes to him being drafted. In the OHL this past season, in 61 games played, he had 37 goals, 74 assists for 111 points. He's one of the best playmakers the NHL has to offer when it comes to their prospects. He uses his body to his advantage. He will really make so many great things happen in that offensive zone. His defensive game is strong, not crazy good, but he can work on it a little bit more, and I don't think that's going to phase him at all going forward. Cole Perfetti is going to be huge in this top 6 for the Winnipeg Jets. Could be a crucial implement into maybe what the future holds with guys like Patrik Laine. Who knows? That's a discussion for another day. But Cole Perfetti has all the tools to be a dynamic top 6 center, if not top line center in the NHL, and there is good reason to be excited about him if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan. Next up, we have Cole Caufield at number 10. Everyone loves Cole Caufield. I don't know how you don't love this guy. His size does not faze him at all, being around, I believe he's only 5'7". Seriously, a lethal goal scorer, has the potential to be one of, along with guys like Arthur KAYFIELD, both from the same draft in 2019, as some of the best goal scorers the NHL will have to offer over these next 5-10 years. Cole Caufield fell to the Montreal Canadiens just in 2019, 15th overall, which is crazy given his numbers. Broke so many records with the U.S. National Development Team for most goals scored in a season and in exhibition. But regardless, Caufield in 36 games played with the Wisconsin Badgers, along with guys like Turcotte, had 19 goals, 17 assists for 36 points. A point per game player. He's going to be in the NHL sooner rather than later, and is going to be absolutely crucial to the Montreal Canadiens with this great balance of veteran leadership and youth in that lineup. Cole Caufield has the potential to be literally the next big thing for the Montreal Canadiens that they have not had, and I don't even know how long, when it comes to a pure goal scorer that can get you upwards of 30 plus goals easily every single season. His size is not going to be an issue. I think he's going to be one of the best snipers the NHL has to offer within the coming years. Next up, at number 9, we have the oldest guy in this list, and that is Kirill Kaprizov. Kaprizov went all the way to the 5th round back in 2015, 135th overall. 5 seems to be his number for the Minnesota Wild. He's only 23 years of age still, and he has been the most dominant player, arguably, out of the North America, playing the KHL this past year for Moscow. Has been truly remarkable. In 57 games played, 62 points, including 33 goals, 29 assists. Kaprizov is coming into the NHL next season, is going to be the best player pretty easily, in my opinion, for the Minnesota Wild in that lineup, and can surely be a guy that will compete for the Calder Trophy and be dominant at the NHL level, considering all the great accolades he has done against men in the KHL for multiple years on end. Kirill Kaprizov, he may not have as much longevity as other guys on this list, which was a factor into him falling, along with originally being a 5th round pick, so he has had to work his way up to hitting the NHL level. Nonetheless, Kirill Kaprizov, the real deal. Expect him to make quite the splash next season with this Minnesota Wild club. Next up, at number 8, we have Dylan Cozens. Cozens, which was drafted in the 1st round just a year ago. He went to the Buffalo Sabres, 7th overall back in 2019. The centerman, playing in the WHL this past season, in 51 games played, had 38 goals, 47 assists for 85 points. Cozens, one could argue, is even deserving of being higher in this list, and I don't blame them for that argument. He truly has a set of skills that is going to be crucial for the Buffalo Sabres over these next couple years. He has the potential to easily be the next big thing when it comes to center for Buffalo outside of Jack Eichel. Imagine a tandem going forward of having Eichel as your 1A and Cozens as your 1B. It doesn't get much better than that, and he is a guy who's going to have an impact as soon as next season. I expect him to be in that Sabres lineup in that top 9. Cozens, amazing playmaking ability, is defensively sound, can shoot the puck really well. We all know this. He's going to bring a dynamic to the Buffalo Sabres that is going to take a load off of the shoulders of guys like Jack Eichel, and even to the extent with newly acquired guys in Taylor Hall and Eric Stahl. I think Cozens is truly going to make an impact next season that could find him worthy of being in the Calder voting, depending on how he's utilized in Buffalo. Next up, at number 7, we have the guy who's drafted 7th overall, no less, to the New Jersey Devils in the 2020 NHL Draft, and that is goal scorer, sniper, winger, however, right winger, in Alexander HOLTZ. HOLTZ has the potential to really be another one of these best goal scorers the NHL has to offer over these next 5+ years. HOLTZ is a guy who is high on this list as well because he can have an immediate impact. We're talking as soon as next season, should he be ready and going to the NHL. I'm not certain if that's going to happen, but if it does, that's going to be great for the Devils. He's going to have an impact sooner rather than later, and HOLTZ is a guy in a limited role in the SHL this past season, took full advantage of the opportunities that were given to him. Playing as an 18-year-old in a league like the SHL, which is so dominant, and 35 games played, he had 9 goals, 7 assists for 16 points, and thus far in the 2020-2021 season playing in the SHL, he has 6 points in 9 games. He hasn't skipped a beat. He's taken more advantage of his opportunities, has an absolutely lethal shot, both 5-on-5 and the power play, no matter where he is in that offensive zone. Probably one of the most accurate shots out of this entire prospect pool, if not the most accurate. So expect him to be that next big thing of goal scoring for the New Jersey Devils, really, since a guy like Ilya Kovalchuk and to an extent Zach Parise. He is that good. Watch out, New Jersey Devils fans. Alexander HOLTZ is coming. Next up, we have at number 6, TREVOR ZEGRAS. ZEGRAS is such a coveted prospect. Many believed really before the 2020 NHL Draft happened that he was the best prospect in the AHL, and I was right along those lines as well. ZEGRAS displays an amazing offensive ability when it comes to his playmaking in the college level currently, and he was drafted in the 1st round like Cozens a year ago, but he went 9th overall to the Anaheim Ducks, and playing for Boston University in 33 games played, the freshman had 11 goals, 25 assists for 36 points. Taking full advantage of the opportunities given to him as well, has superb playmaking ability, a great 200-foot game, is a guy that I could see have many awards on his resume just over these next couple of years and going forward for the Anaheim Ducks. You know, they need a next big name to be that top center once Ryan Getzlaf's days are done, and ZEGRAS is surely going to be that guy. Look out when it comes to the Anaheim Ducks. They have a face of the franchise in the making, and that is without question TREVOR ZEGRAS. Next up, at number 5, we have another one of my more favorite prospects here, and that is winner Lucas Raymond. Similar to Alexander HOLTZ in the sense of being in a limited role in the 2019-2020 season in the SHL, took full advantage of his opportunities. There was some ideas to maybe his work ethic, among other things, or his defensive game, but don't let that phase you. Most of that is just hush-hush. He's an amazing player, so explosive, and has some of the most potential by far out of all these prospects that I've talked with you today. Raymond, drafted in the 1st round by the Detroit Red Wings this year, 4th overall in the SHL this past season. In 33 games played, at 10 points, including 4 goals and 6 assists, and thus far in the SHL in the 2020-2021 season, in 14 games played, he has 8 points. So he's putting up the numbers in an increased role, and watch out, because when it comes to Lucas Raymond, he has the hands, he has the ability, he has that offensive explosiveness that is truly going to be jaw-dropping every single time he's on the ice. He will be one of the most key components to this this Detroit Red Wings team in this complete rebuild. I expect Raymond to help lead the way to a promising future with this team that is going to continue to draft high over these next couple of years. Lucas Raymond could very well be the next big thing in Detroit, really, since we're talking about the Zetterbergs, the Pavel Datsyuks, etc. He is that good. Watch out. Lucas Raymond, he's an absolute stud. Next up, at number 4, we have probably my favorite prospect on this list outside of one other player, and you probably know who that is. And this is Marco Rossi. Rossi drafted 9th overall because of his size, nothing more than that. His points didn't matter. Similar to Cole Caufield falling in the first round a year ago, and other guys, whether it's, Alex DeBrincat, Johnny Gaudreau, Braden Point. These are all guys that have fallen either a little bit or significantly in their draft year because of their size. Being at 5'9", Rossi is such a dynamic player that could very well go down as one of the best centermen the entire NHL will have to offer for this next decade, having an impact on the Wild roster as soon as next season, because he will be cracking that lineup. I feel fairly confident in that. Rossi drafted 9th overall, as I mentioned, to the Wild, got an absolute stud in him. In the OHL this past year with the Ottawa 67s, he had 120 points in 56 games, including 39 goals, 81 assists. Fantastic. He has 1 point in 1 game in the Swiss League thus far, just being alone there because of no games happening, obviously. When it comes to Marco Rossi's game, he slows down things when he gets in that offensive zone. His playmaking ability is truly like no other, and I expect him to be the next face for the Minnesota Wild, along with Kirill Kaprizov, possibly even playing together over this next season, which is going to be so much fun to see. The future is really bright for the Minnesota Wild. They had a great draft. They lucked out to get a guy like Marco Rossi here all the way at 9, so expect Rossi to really compete, give that effort to go for the Calder along with his teammate in Kaprizov next season, and boy oh boy are things going to be fun in Minnesota. Next up, at number 3, we have the guy who went number 3 in this year's 2020 NHL Draft, and that is Tim Stützle, the center/winger, can play the left wing as well. Stützle currently rehabbing from an injury that he sustained a couple months ago now, I believe. Regardless, Stützle is going to be huge for the Ottawa Senators, and I fully expect him to crack their lineup next season. Stützle drafted 3rd overall, as I mentioned, playing in Dell as an 18-year-old, led the Dell and has a record now for the most points as an 18-year-old, point percentage-wise at 0.82%. In 41 games played in the 2019-2020 season, he had 34 points, including 7 goals and 27 assists. This guy is so dynamic, so explosive. He isn't big-bodied by any means, but don't let that phase you. He can get around defensemen with ease, whether he's with that left-handed shot in the right dot on the power play, looking for that great shot. His playmaking ability is truly some of the best the NHL has to offer when it comes to their prospects. He is so elusive, he's so dynamic, and he really is going to be leaving you wondering what just happened. For a second, he's right next to you, and then before you know it, bam, he's down the ice, and something great is going to happen. He doesn't wow you necessarily with his speed, but his acceleration is superb. His playmaking is outrageous, and he will just make anything and everything happen whenever that puck is on his stick. Truly a fantastic player, and is going to help lead the charge for the Ottawa Senators that have the potential, I say potential for a reason, but have that potential to be a dynasty over this next decade. Next up, at number 2, we have Quinton Byfield. Byfield and Stützle is kind of a coin flip for me, but when it came to who was deserving of going 2nd overall, I was favoring Stützle more so because of his versatility for the LA Kings rather than his play to an extent. So Byfield, when it comes to overall potential and ceiling, it kind of feels like I'm swaying more of that way when it comes to Byfield over Stützle, but they're both fantastic players in their own right. Byfield, we all know, he's over 6'4", and he has speed like he is 5'4". He's truly insane. He takes advantage of his size, and he isn't even fully grown yet. He's going to come into the lineup for the LA Kings next season, no doubt, in that top 6, and is going to be so impactful. Drafted 2nd overall this year, as I mentioned. He had 82 points in 45 games played in the OHL this past year, including 32 goals and 50 assists. Quinton Byfield is going to be the star of the many stars the LA Kings has to offer in their prospect pool. I will be touching on him in further videos that you'll see shortly, so get ready for that. But Quinton Byfield, such a fun story, great personality, and great human being overall. I'm so excited to see what he's going to do, making a push to be that Calder winner next season, along with all these other great rookies in the NHL. And next up, at number 1, we have the guy on the wall behind me, and I have another newspaper of him actually being drafted. I just haven't framed it yet. That is Alexis Lafreniere. As a Rangers fan, I can tell you I'm ecstatic. I've said this. I feel like I talk about him every single day because it still doesn't feel real that he's going to be a New York Ranger. But Alexis, the left winger, a unanimous first overall pick in the 2020 NHL Draft, has been so coveted really since he was around like 12 years old, if not younger. And this is a guy that's going to come in the lineup for the Rangers next season, and this retool slash rebuild is surely going to push them for the playoffs, no doubt in my mind. Alexis in the QMJHL in 52 games played, playing for the same team that, yes, Sidney Crosby played for, had 112 points, including 35 goals, 77 assists. He's going to be unbelievable. He has all-star potential. He has the potential to really be the face of the New York Rangers franchise, given how storied this franchise has been. With Henrik Lundqvist gone, now you bring in a guy like Alexis Lafreniere, even though they're different positions, out with the old and with the new when it comes to the new face. I fully expect Alexis Lafreniere to be a huge part to the success the New York Rangers are going to have over this next decade, and I simply can't wait. We know the story when it comes to his Alexis. It's taking advantage of his size. He's not overly big, but he takes full advantage of it. He is a hound in that offensive zone. He always wants the puck on his stick. He is always trying to make things happen. It doesn't matter what happens. He will put his body on the line between his elusive and deceptive offensive ability, between the playmaking, the vision, the shot. He has it all. He's truly the jack of all trades. And if I'm anyone going up against him in the AHL next year when it comes to the Calder race, they know that they're going to have a tough task, because Alexis Lafreniere is going to do everything he possibly can, not just to have a strong rookie year, but to be undoubtedly the best rookie and one of the better players the NHL will have to offer as soon as next season. Get ready, New York Ranger fans. Alexis Lafreniere is here, and he's beautiful. That's going to conclude this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my top 20? Like I said, there were a lot of great names I just couldn't incorporate, and I understand the arguments. So if you feel that there is a guy that's more deserving of being in the top 20 over others, make sure to let me know in the comments. I would love to have that discussion with you. And there are a lot of guys that were really honorable mentions that just missed the cut for me. It's guys like Evan Bouchard and even Peyton Krebs and Alexander Romanov to an extent. Niels Lundqvist, really a lot of defensemen. And then if you want to expand further, Owen Tippett, you can make a strong argument for. Matthew Boldy, obviously, Nick Robertson for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Gabriel Velarde. All those guys I think are good arguments to at least have maybe 2 or 3 of them in this top 20 over others. I understand it's not an easy list to make. I'm sure everyone that makes this list would probably have a different one, which just shows you the amount of talent the NHL has going forward. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out previous videos regarding other prospect videos, and get ready. I have a lot of other great prospect content coming forward, between breaking down teams' individual top 10 prospect rankings. Let me know what teams you want to see me cover there, among other things. A lot of great things are happening on this channel. I'm so excited for what the future holds, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you ended up enjoying this kind of hockey content. Thank you all so much, guys. It means an absolute ton. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys real soon.